All right, here we go. I'm going to share my screen. Once you can see it, please let me know. Is my screen visible?
Yes.
Awesome. All right, so thank you once again to everyone who's joining me on this fine, very hot summer day. Let's begin. So, the agenda for these meetups is pretty simple. We welcome you all. We do a little bit of meet and greet, getting to know each other and understanding where you all are in your coaching journey. We talk a little about the community initiatives, what we are doing right now in CJ. And the Beyond Bio is where we all interact to each other, share experience, share challenges. And I think this is the part which genuinely is the most fun part about this conversation. So if you are here, please make time for the entire hour. And closing thoughts are always about what we can do to improve CJ and the space for you. So let's get started. There are three meeting rules. Please be on mute when not speaking, raise a hand if you need to speak, and keep an eye on the chat for any questions or uh, any questions you might have. All right. So, since I am looking at very new faces for the first time in this conversation today, so let's start by sharing your story. These are the four questions that we would love for you to answer. So, anyone who would like to go first today? All right, Ajit, go ahead.
Yeah, usually I get picked up anyway first because in the alphabetical order, usually right from the school days, it starts there. So, yeah, my name is Ajit Bedekar. Location, I'm based in Bangalore. I've been living here since 2003. So it's been a 20, 22 years journey. Coaching credentials, right now I'm ICF PCC. Just did my renewal last year. Sorry, last month. So yeah, PCC since April 2022 and just renewed month and a half back. Also EMCC, senior practitioner that I got about 3 months back. That's as far as ICF EMCC. Several other certifications and stuff like that that I've done. That I won't call them, classify them as coaching credentials, but nevertheless. Coaching niche and specialty. Well, I've been attending so many sessions and so much of it is bombarded on me saying you must have a niche. Um, I haven't figured out yet. I don't think so that I have a specific niche. Right now, I'm in a position, a situation where I'm happy to coach anyone and not a niche. I wish I develop a niche some point in time, but right now I'm not, and I keep thinking about it whether I really need to have a niche or I should just be agnostic about anything and say, well, if you are ready to be coached, I'm here to coach you. That's all. A fun fact about myself, um, I'm just funny. That's all. Well, I feel so, but I don't make people laugh enough, though I feel I can be funny. No fun fact, I would say. What else? I think life has just been usual. How you hope to engage with the CJ community? I'm been already, participating in a lot of these mentoring sessions that happens, um, which Yashaswini, I think, runs. So, and apart from that, I've actually encouraged, motivated, invited quite a few people to join the CJ community because I feel this is a wonderful platform that people can gain from, and many of my people whom I'm referred to have, I know, utilized this time and this space to a great extent to do peer coaching and gain hours, which is wonderful thing. I've also been doing sometimes peer coaching or practicing coaching here some time back, or whenever I get some free time. I know there are people putting in here saying I have a cancellation or I have this time slot open. Would you like to do a peer coaching? I have been doing that, but not too much off late. I think last year I did quite a few. But mentoring program is something that uh, I've committed to and I'm doing that. So I'll stop with that. Thank you. I hope it was not more than 2 minutes.
No, it was bang on time. And thank you so much, Ajit, for your contribution.
Welcome.
All right, Srividya, would you like to go next?
Yeah, sure. Hello, everyone. I'm Sri Vidya Ivaturi. As the name might sound, I am a South Indian. I'm from Hyderabad, but I live in Pune. I'm living in Pune for almost 16, 17 years now. Um, I am credentialed as CCC from ICF. Coaching niche, as Ajit mentioned, initially I tagged myself as an executive coach, but I am looking forward to expand my horizons beyond because I did not like that boxing, being boxed as a particular coach and trying to explore. I also got my PCC certification renewed a couple of months back. Now, just reflecting, should I go for MCC immediately or should I gather more knowledge on coaching? Fun fact about me, uh, not too sure. Um, how do I hope to engage with the community? I I am doing a book review this weekend. So any one of you, if you want to attend that, I'm talking about the Theory U book this on the 20th. And I am trying to contribute as much as I can because I see a lot of learning happening here, a lot of new topics that have been discussed. And any time a new topic comes up, I always feel, oh, I don't know this, so let me probably lay my hands and research a little more about it. So it actually, it is actually making me more curious and more required to learn. So that's how I love this community, which is actually questioning me every time and which is actually encouraging me to learn more. Thank you so much.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Shreya. All right. I think, Divya, I'm also seeing you here for the first time. Do you mind? Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. So I'm Divya and I'm based in UK. I will be applying for PCC this month and coaching Germany has Germany coaching journey has really helped me because there was a time when I've got my ACC last year and this is my seventh year in coaching, but when I got my ACC last year, I was thinking it took me 6 years to do 200 hours. It's not going to happen. So I didn't. And then I in December I thought I'll just try and see what happens. That's what I'm doing in my sessions. And then everything started falling in place, like opportunities every. How I came to know of coaching journeys, and I did my 300 hours through coaching journey. So I am full of gratitude. So thank you. In regards to, I think with the 500 hours and with the intensity with which I did, it really helped me understand what I really enjoy. And the key pattern that keeps coming up is actually progress, where people feel, oh, this nothing is moving, and we get the flow. So that's what got me to this session, the coaching flow. So I work with organizations, but it's more about the flow. Fun fact about yourself is basically I started living my life when coaching came in my life. So it's like um, living is so much fun, and I'm doing my life is anything but usual. It's more so because I just like to do things. And whenever I think maybe this can't be done, or have those beliefs, I like to do the whole self coaching, not the process, but I would say, okay, what if we do it? And I do it. So it's so much fun life. I'm very fascinated with myself. I have my black belt taekwondo grading this year, and I'm very excited about it. I so fond of CJ community. So I engage in conversations, just like Ajit mentioned. I have introduced it to a lot of people. So I am engaged in that way because I've got the PCC application and my own business identity growth happening this year. So I have limited, I'm setting my boundaries so I'll do as much as I can, but I love the community. Thank you so much.
So good to hear from you, Divya. Thank you so much for sharing that gratitude. And I think what you just said about how your life started when you actually became a coach and you started coaching, I was just about to drop a message that that's something I deeply resonate with. So thank you so much for sharing that with us today. Great. All right. Anybody else? Shimpi, I would love to hear from you as well. You're a new face.
Thank you. Should I call you Jazz or Kiran?
Just works. I call myself Just too.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jazz. Yes, it's my first time, and I was very curious what this monthly connect is about. Coaching Journey is one of those unique platform where coaches, get to do the peer coaching, and I found it very, very helpful in my journey. To start with, I am Shimpi, and I'm connecting from Bratislava, Slovakia. It's a tiny country in Central Eastern Europe. I don't know how many of you know about this country, but I lived here for about 8 years now, and I'm on my PCC journey. That's my coaching goal. One of the thing that I would like to do is I would like to engage more in community because that's something that's not my thing. I consider myself as an introvert. So the community aspect is something that I would like to grow myself in. So I think that's one of the reason that I wanted to join and contribute in a way, in whichever way possible. So that's why I'm here.
Appreciate it, Shimpi. Thank you so much. Do you have any fun fact about yourself?
Well, I can say a tongue twister in
Mhm.
Hindi.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
चंदू के चाचा ने चंदू की चाची को चांदी की चम्मच से चटनी चटाई.
Mhm.
Well, I guess I'm not that introvert.
You're already transforming here, Shimpi.
And
Awesome. If anybody else wants to share their story, give an introduction, please raise their hand, or else we can move to the second part of today's space. All right. Okay, so let's move on. Meet the builders. So behind this community are, of course, real people. I think most of you must have interacted with either Sunil, Sandeep, or Yash. These are the code builders of our community. We are the ones who help us interacting, getting to understand what could be the new initiatives that we can start taking as community. So if you have any new ideas, if there is a certain inclination, if there is a certain problem that you're identifying in your coaching journey, please reach out to the team and let us know how we can support you. I would also like to run you through to a few of the initiatives which are right now up for taking. So we want to include more engaging contributions and events. So we are planning to do more events, mock examinations, coaching observations. Mentor coaching is already happening, team coaching and business of coaching. So if any of these things sound a little bit of exciting to you, please reach out to the community builders and we can brainstorm and build something interesting together. What's in it for you? I think you guys have already spoken what CJ has allowed you to do. But for anybody who's here for the first time and a new member of CJ is all about giving back. These are a list of things that you can expect by being a part of this community. There is, of course, a lot of visibility, there is a lot of collaboration. You get to do peer coaching sessions, which helps you getting that constant and instant feedback during the sessions. And I think my personal favorite is networking, right? So, Shimpi, there are so many introverts out there, especially in the coaching journey community. So I'm so glad that you are here because I think that's where we all start to interact and slowly come out of our shells in that way. All right. So this brings us to the first activity of this evening. So the first activity is how are you flowing these days? So the sessions plan, the flow of the the theme of this particular month is to understand your coaching flow. So you might have been practicing with real clients, you might have been practicing in peer coaching sessions, but there is a certain flow that you follow in your coaching, right? So I want you to think about your flow these days. And if you were to describe it in one word, what would it be? This is where we get reflective, real, and share our thoughts. Smooth, foggy. You can either drop a text or you can also unmute yourself and speak.
When you say coaching flow, do you mean in the session, during one session, or do you mean the engagement flow?
The, I think of it as the entire engagement from getting to interact with somebody, bringing them to coaching, having that session with them, and of course, letting them cross that. All right. Stream. Interesting. Hmm. Like a river, choppy, natural. Interesting. So we have all the varieties, all the different emotions here today. Gabby, would it be possible for you to share why do you think it's choppy these days, and maybe if there is something that we can all share for you to help? If you're speaking, you're on mute.
Yes, sorry. My daughter's getting ready to go to a wedding and she's in and out, and that's why I haven't had my camera on, but she's about to leave now, so I can put my camera on. Choppy. What I find is that sometimes it flows very, very smoothly, and other times I feel like a beginner again. And when I feel like a beginner again, it's like I find myself being invasive or asking a question that perhaps is loaded in some way, or it has a little bit of interpretation. So in other words, when I stop dancing with the person and doing a nice, I start standing on their toes. It's a little bit like that, if you know what I mean. So yeah, choppy, something, there's always energy, and you know, when I say it's choppy, quite often the person I'm coaching doesn't receive it in that way. It's more of a self-awareness of when it's not flowing smoothly. I'm very aware of that. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Gabby. And I think a lot of us experience that. There are days when I myself feel that, oh my God, where are those questions? Why is my mind so blank in this moment? Right. So I think
Yeah.
I genuinely appreciate you sharing that with us. I think this, again, is one of those phases that we go through as a coach.
Yeah. Thank you.
Anybody else would like to share about their response, how they feel? So I found Shimpi, you mentioned foggy. Do you want to talk about it?
I mentioned foggy because sometimes I don't know what is going to happen in in the session, and that that keeps it open to the possibility. But now I'm connecting back to what Gabby has mentioned about, rather than dancing with a person stepping on the toes, I would be very curious to know how that is done, and how that is received. What's the response to that?
All right. Gabby, would you like to answer that back, or should we move forward?
I am so, oops. I'm so sorry. My daughter was asking me to take a photograph of her before she left, and I didn't hear what you said. I'm very sorry, Shimpi.
Yes,
I,
sorry.
I,
I can repeat. I can repeat. So I mentioned that for me, sometimes the coaching flow is foggy because I don't know what is going to happen, and I'm kind of dancing with the client, especially with a client who is very wordy and who is very rich in their visualization. So you mentioned something very interesting which caught my attention, that rather than dancing with the person, I'm stepping on the toe. So I'm curious, how do you handle that stepping without I'm just curious how you do that, and how is the response? How is it received in your experience?
yes, when I feel I'm stepping on on their toes, it's when I think I've stopped trusting the process a little bit, and I can see what the problem is that they've got or what's blocking them, or and instead of trusting them to find the answer within themselves, I sometimes, that's when the loaded question comes, because I'm trying to guide them into what my interpretation is, instead of really finding their, helping to reflect back to them their essence, and help them to discover themselves. This idea that the coachee knows, has the truth, their own truth within themselves, that's really trusting the process. And sometimes I don't. And I come in and I step on their toes, and I come in with my agenda or my interpretation or my knowledge. And yeah, and what's the result? The result often is that the coachee is grateful for the insight. But I personally feel I've stopped something more transformative happening. And it's no longer masterful. It's amateur. And it doesn't mean that they're not benefiting from it, but I think it can be deeper if I stick and trust the process by not treading on their toes. I don't know if I'm explaining myself very well. Does that help, Shimpi?
There are a couple of things that still need some clarity, but thank you for sharing yeah, your thought, Gabby.
Mm. And I'll just say one other thing, Shimpi, that the biggest lesson that I have learned in my coaching experience, the biggest gift I can give to my coachee, is being 100% present. And I find that when my mind goes to the place where I'm worried about what question I'm going to answer next, or what part of the thread of the conversation to pick up, that's when I'm losing presence. When I've been able to be fully present and fully trusting the process, fully believing in the client, it feels like a task, and it's a different thing. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Gabby.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. Let's move to the second exercise for today. The second activity is thinking out loud. What's one part of your current coaching journey? It could be from the discovery call to after session, where things feel clunky, stuck, or forced to you as a coach. Again, this is something that we are all going to reflect on for a minute. Where does my flow break?
I can go here more from a discovery session. And this is someone who's not fully familiar with what coaching is and how it works. But many times I feel sometimes stuck when they still expect a solution or a prescription. And I have this problem. How do I, can you just give me a solution? Can you just tell me from your experience, how did you do this? How did you if you face this situation, how did you deal with it? And that's where I feel sometimes that the client is trying to force get an answer from me, and it becomes sometimes very difficult to stop that urge within you to give the answer or give the solution. Um, from the time from the discovery session, when even if I've clarified during the chemistry or the discovery session, saying that what coaching is, and coaching is not a solution giving exercise. It's finding your potential, finding your answers from within. But when we get onto the session, they still want those answers, and that is where sometimes I feel stuck. uh, at times I have also, taken that liberty to say, okay, I mean, if this you insist, I will, but this is not coaching. And if you permit me, allow me to come out of the coaching boundaries, then okay, I can give you a suggestion or a solution, but that's not coaching. Pardon me for saying that, but that's what, if really forced, I would do that. Where does my flow break? I I I don't let it break, because at the end of the day, I believe that coaching, it's all about client's journey. It's about client's world. So in this, client is the owner of the session. So whichever way the client wants to take it, I just go with that flow. And if that fits with the client's ask, so like I do a course correction kind of a thing where I ask the client saying, okay, if this is a different course we are taking, are you okay with that? If this is where you want to go, so be it. I'll go with you. I'll partner with you. I'll handhold in that journey forward. But I don't think so. Thankfully, I have not let the flow break, because I keep a control over it.
Great, Ajay. Thank you for sharing that reflection. Yes, Shripad, please go ahead.
Yeah, like when I take a look at the overall coaching journey and the session, a macro view and micro view. Initially, I used to feel clunky during my first 30, 40 hours, that I was very, very regimented, that okay, I will ask these questions, and kind of question bags. Then I participated in L2 training and mentored calls in CJ. And I got the feedback, so I just set aside all that formula and everything. So just started going with the flow. So that was a course correction. In the regular session, I feel little stuck beyond 45 minutes. Usually I keep the session for let's say 1 hour. A lot of times the coaching maxes out by around 45 minutes. So I have figured out maybe 45 minutes is the sweet spot for having a kind of a properly done coaching session. Beyond that, it gets little stuck or little stereotype. I don't know what is the experience of other coaches, but I am trying to solve this equation. Because a lot of times we keep 1 hour as a coaching call, and then after 45 minutes, most of the times coaching maxes out.
Thank you, Shripad. I think I'm curious to know, when you say the coaching maxes out, do you mean that the outcome that they were looking for is being achieved within the 45 minutes?
Yeah, so there is nothing new to discuss beyond 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So that is where what I mean by maxes out, because then you are trying to dig through what
Mhm.
else, what else. But then that what else also becomes overused after a while.
Absolutely. So I would request everyone else to also share their viewpoint on what's that sweet spot in terms of timing. But Shripad, this is one thing that I noticed with one of my coaches that I used to practice with. They, whatever time was left in our conversation, say sometimes it's 10 minutes, sometimes it's 15 minutes, they would say that I'm gifting you back your time so you can start working on your goal right away. That's how they used to close the session and give me back that power that, hey, I came here to get help. I've received the help, and I've also got a additional time gift that I can use. So that ways I was very much happy as a client to conclude it in 40 minutes, 45 minutes, and take back that time with me.
I can relate to what Shripad is saying. Generally they say that 40 minutes is the attention span people have. um, and so yeah, 45 minutes is a good time. I don't schedule my sessions for 1 hour. I avoid that. I always schedule my coaching sessions only for 45 minutes. 30 minutes, sometimes it's too less. But 45 minutes is what I do. But then I'm always flexible to go beyond 4-5 minutes, 10 minutes, not more than 10 minutes for sure. Anywhere between 5 to 10 minutes is what I try and close. But yes, 45 minutes is the ideal time. I think that works for the client also, because you can imagine, right? A coaching session, people are not used to being asked so many questions. And if as a coach, we're asking only questions, it doesn't work like that. So yeah, 45 minutes is max what they can handle. Everybody can handle, for that, not just they, but all of us. I think if we were going through a coaching session, we would also feel the same way.
Right. Yes, Divya.
We had a coaching.com summit, and I'm listening to certain MCC demos. And because I'm working on my coaching, working on the session that would be passed as recording. So I'm really going through all the core competencies, which was feeling a bit like scripted, and I wanted to improve on it. And when I was listening to Ajit, what came to me was silence is a very powerful question. So we don't have to ask questions. I've not experienced maxing out. Maybe I'm in a different environment. I've never experienced maxing out in my sessions yet. And one thing, because there was one session in that summit on MCC session, they did a dissection of an MCC section. So we listened to a session, and then there was this out as to how does it work. And in that they were talking of see, this is what happens. Okay, so I'm like listening to 2-3 things. The key is they said that not every person is the right client for an MCC recording, and especially somebody who is new to coaching. They are not very used to thinking for themselves, and so as an initial client, you're looking for resourcefulness, while the whole transformation happens when we start getting into the belief system and other areas. But every client is different, and that's where maybe it feels different with different people. But in my experience, I've not had I've not had many experiences of maxing out yet. And I've completed 500 plus hours.
Noted. Thank you, Divya, for sharing that. I want to go back to Mamta, Amber, Sandeep, Deepthi, people who do not have their cameras on. Going back to the question on screen, do you have any thoughts to share about where do you think your flow breaks these days when you are practicing coaching?
Okay, so let me just add to the conversation whatever happened. For me, the discovery call has been the most, I would say, happening call, or most, successful call, because it was always easier for me to make sure we reach to. Where I generally get stuck is when the coachee comes back and says there is no action done. In spite of the commitment, there is no progress that's made. There are excuses that are coming. Those are coming out. And 80% of the time, it happens with the corporate clients. They have some excuse or the other to give. And it takes a lot of effort to actually help them understand they have subconsciously made a progress, or make them discover. Let me not use the word understand, but make them discover. They have subconsciously made some progress or the other, and they were trying to put it as a part, because once there is awareness, you can't be unaware of it. So though they probably have not committed, not did specific actions of what they have committed, say for example, they committed to journal and they did not journal, but they somehow have noticed in their behavior and they have course corrected it over a period of time. So that is a conversation that takes a lot of time. And with respect to maxing out, what I have observed is like connected to what Divya also has mentioned. When we are starting the conversation with someone who is completely unaware of coaching or the likes of self reflection per se, they may have limited inputs to share in the conversation, and the conversation might go more transactional. Like what Ajit was saying, I ask so many questions, I just get one word replies or one liner replies, and there's no reflection happening. There's no multiple examples coming in. So it's just a conversation that's happening between me and the coachee. And many a times, due to that limitation, the maxing out happens in the initial conversations that I have with the clients. And for the first one or two conversations, I make sure that I am not very mindful of the time. But once that icebreaker is done, once that comfort zone is set, and once the client also starts discovering what is in it for him in the coaching, him or her in the coaching, then the conversation slowly start taking time building up because they get used to the experience of reflection. That generally happens from the fourth conversation or so. And that's how I have seen a gradual progress, or I would say a maturity in the conversation. And this some way, I might be absolutely wrong here, but this some way I relate to the different levels of ICF coaching competencies. ACF, we talk more about, the way of asking powerful questions. There's a structure around it. We are guided through 1, 2, 3, 4 principles, and we are supposed to stick to that structure. PCC is a little broader, where we go into the presencing, we go into the, and MCC is more open-ended. There is more of silence reflection that's been practiced. So probably when we are choosing our clients also, we gradually mature ourselves as coaches. And the entire process for me, the way I am able to uncover the coaching processes, the way we mature ourselves as coaches, we probably need to give the time for the partnership between the client and the coachee also to mature, to take a transactional conversation to a transformational conversation. So that is my take.
Lovely. Thank you, Srividya. Shripad, yes, do you have to add something?
Yeah, one more challenge. I don't know where to put it, clunky stuff or force. That recently, like as recent as today, uh, I had to coach someone in the local language. That is the local language of Maharashtra, Marathi. And I had a lot of challenge because most of the practice is done in English. A lot of things you do, peer coaching or wherever, everything is done in English. Now doing coaching in Marathi was a little challenging. It did happen well. It went well. But it was a learning experience for me. But this is the first time I use the local language in coaching. I don't know whether anybody has any other experience, but I have found a little out of water for myself. Trying to coin the questions the way we do in English naturally.
Yeah. In fact, I did it in Telugu, Hindi also. And on the other side, I felt it very comfortable. I need not have to search for those words and those absolute phrases for coaching. I felt it more comfortable and natural for me.
All right. Let's move to the activity 3 of today's evening. This one is coach to coach. What's that one thing in your current coaching flow that really works for you? And that's something that should be something that you can recommend to others with confidence. It could be something that you do in discovery, onboarding, mid session rituals, feedback formats, final session closures. This could include any powerful questions, any things that are part of your own ritual, or any tools and tricks that you use. All right, so I'll begin this answering this particular one. So I used to get very distracted trying to jot down notes while listening to the client as well. So I've recently automated this to a tool. I think I mentioned about this in my previous call as well. I use a AI tool called Fathom. They have good AI transcriptions. They are able to dissect the conversation very well. It's GDPR compliant. And at the same time, I think what it has done for me is I also tend to summarize what the client has done for my practice. It does that automatically for me. It helps me understand what are those core areas where I was able to touch. And one more interesting thing that that tool does is it gives you a conversation percentage of who was speaking more in this conversation. So that again helps me understand, was I able to hold the space and silences for my client or not. So that's one tool. Yes, Gabby, please go ahead.
I'm not sure if this is what you mean, but one thing I've noticed is that when I make the client, when I reflect back to the client what their energy is, and I reflect back to the client what's happening for what I'm observing somatically, it seems to really resonate with the client. So it's something, I don't always do it, but when I notice anything happening in their body or with their voice or the tone of voice or their general animation or energy, and I reflect that back to them, it has a profound effect in my experience.
Thank you, Gabby. I think I've been able to do that a few times, and it really does. It creates, I think, it just opens up another set of conversation. It brings the rapport building in a very different format. Thank you. Yes, Deepti, please go ahead.
I'm intrigued when you said AI tool, because if you are doing an in-person session, how do you use that?
Oh, for that, I am not able to use it.
Yeah, because I think as per ethics as well, you're not really supposed to record unless you,
Have the
I'm talking
permission.
real clients, and real clients, in fact, I have never recorded. I mean, in peer-to-peer coaching is something different.
Mhm.
And my clients, like I have paid clients, I'm based in Hong Kong, so they're mainly in Hong Kong, and I do in person. I rarely even take any notes. I mean, I I'm really just there, present and listening. And I think that's what I learned during my learning phase, is that it's not important to remember each and every word that the client is saying. You, of course, because then you are losing your presence if you're focused and stressed about that. So the most important thing is to be present, and, whatever you can gather, you reflect. And I think most importantly, it is really listening. So in fact, even to the previous thing, somebody was talking about maxing out. I think I have the opposite problem. I usually give my clients 50 minutes to 1 hour session, and I am very bad, which I have to learn, because that's part of coaching, to keep the time. I have had clients sitting with me, actually, like physical sessions for 2 hours, because they get emotional and they are go on talking, and I'm just trying to listen and be empathetic, and sometimes offering them water or tissue, some emotional. And I just cannot tell them in the middle of it that, you just stay quiet. And of course, when they're talking so much, coming back to this part, you cannot remember everything. And at that moment, you cannot be writing. I mean, because you're not really a student of theirs taking notes. So you really need to be present. So I think, I don't know whether that gives any benefit or anything, but that's basically my take and my experience.
Thank you, Deepti. I do struggle with that when I take in-person sessions. I agree. All right, so coaches, I would love to hear from Mamta, Amber, people who have not been able to speak so far, Tinku, Sandeep. Anything that you do in your current coaching flow which you think you can recommend to other coaches out here?
Yeah, I would like to say that just like Fathom AI, I started using Tactic AI and with the permission of the coachee, and I feel that it really helps me. And probably because I'm a beginner, so it actually gives me a good reflection as to how I'm progressing. And I feel that probably in the initial stage, it is good for me. Hopefully later on. I mean, I do understand the importance of presence, but I feel that's actually an add-on to help me being more present. Thank you.
Thank you, Mamta. Sandeep, Amber.
Yeah, so I'll speak. So in my case, so I try to keep that flow, and the structure whenever it is possible. Whenever I kind of feel that I'm deviating, or I feel that I'm not able to keep up with pace with the conversation which is going on, I'm not keeping my focus. I try to go back to grow model. Actually, I see where is it, like, where am I standing in that grow model? Generally, like, goals, try to check that goal. I try to see the reality check of the goal, whether it's a right goal or there's something else which is serving the client. After reality check, I go back to the options, but there'll be many questions that will come in between, like, to check with with the client about the emotions, how they're feeling at this moment, because that reflection gives a lot of time to the client, and they come back with a lot of insight. That space is necessary, and give them that space. So I am in my ECC path right now. I've just finished about 75 hours, another 10-15 hours to go, and then probably I'll be submitting my recording. So I'm just learning from all of you as well at the same time.
Thank you, Sandeep. All right. I'm curious about how do you collect feedbacks, because I think that's one thing which I have not been able to do. I only get WhatsApp messages from my clients later on about the session. So, is there anybody who can share about what kind of feedback formats or tools that they use?
I had done for one engagement so far. I mean, that I asked for feedback, and I actually very honestly went online to check what can be the feedback questions. And I actually, before the engagement ended, before the last session, yes, I mean, I went online to check, but of course did not do copy paste. I figured what was relevant. And what I did was basically I sent an email with a few questions before her last session. And I felt like, because if there is anything that she has not been able to address in the previous four or five sessions, I think I had a whole engagement for 6 sessions, then it should be sent before the last session, because that was one of the questions, what she had hoped to gain and what she has gained, and if there was some gap or whatever. So few such questions, and I basically urged her or I mean requested her, because she was really busy client, that for her to go through those and maybe roughly answer for herself, even if she doesn't send it to me, answers those questions. But she was good, actually. She did send the answers to most of them before her last session. So that helped me actually close the engagement and also get her feedback. So that was, I think, I felt like it was very useful in closing the engagement as well, because I was struggling with the aspect of how do I close the engagement? Because if you have 6 sessions, and what do you do abruptly? You just have the last session and finish it. Feels very strange. So that really helped me to send those questions, have her send it back to me as answers as well. And some she did not answer. And then we kind of, had that last session.
Lovely. Thank you for sharing that, Deepti. I think I might try that.
Yeah.
Generally, if the feedback email goes after the last session, there is a tendency that the client might not respond proactively.
Yes.
Before
That too as well. Yeah, that's also a point, because then they don't care as well. And also for their own benefit, if it is done before the session,
Yeah,
then you can handle those things which there have been gaps or whatever.
absolutely. All right. Any more questions, responses, feedback for others?
So, because my sessions have been mostly with corporate clients, the way I handle feedback is before the last session itself, as Deepti said, there will be a set of questions and also, most importantly, a brief presentation that they generally make, inviting the manager onto the call as well. And it is the responsibility of the participant or the client to call their manager also onto the call. And there is a feedback which is sought out from both of them. From the manager who gives the feedback of what the progress they have seen, and from the participant themselves as to what are the top 3 things that they have learned, discovered about themselves during the course, and what is something they would like to continue after the coaching session as well. So this is the brief approach that I take.
Thank you for sharing that, Srividya. On that note, you mentioned about the struggle of corporate clients who are making progress but are unable to, respond on that progress. So I'm not sure whose model this is, but I've been using this. I generally coach millennial clients. And I've been using this strategy with them. So whenever they set a goal, and that's something that they need to action on, and I can already sense that they are promising not so realistic goal for themselves. So we do an exercise called the floor and the ceiling of this exercise, right? So what would be the floor? What will be the bare minimum that you can do? For example, for workout, I will just dress up and not even go to the gym. That's the floor. And the ceiling would be that I will dress up, I'll take my protein shake, I'll show up at the gym. So floor and ceiling, I think, especially when it comes to people who are trying to work on procrastination, building habits and consistency. I think this is one take. This is one methodology that I also use with my clients. All right. I think we can begin closing. Thank you so much, everyone, for your discussions, for your knowledge. I really enjoy sharing this space with you, and thank you for making time. We have 2-3 minutes if anybody wants to share anything before we close up.
Thank you. Thank you for the thought.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Yes,
you.
Shripad.
I'm wondering whether anybody has used session feedback for each and every session, or maybe randomly chosen sessions.
Not each and every session. That's not what usually has been asked. But at the end of the session, I've always made it a point to say that how are you feeling, or how did it go for you? I hope this was helpful or valuable for you. And that is what based on I've got the answers for. Mostly it is positive. But if I'm doing it for some platform or some client engagement where a contract is signed, etc., then there is a session feedback, a formal notes taking, which I share based on the contract. Of course, you can't violate the contract, but whatever is within the permissible, I have shared that feedback, saying the client was showing up on the sessions, so on and so forth. But what is discussed between the sessions, no. So depending on what you are saying as a session feedback, Shripad, I'm not sure if I answered your question, but yeah.
Yeah.
Got it. Thank
Same
you.
here. There is a feedback if it is consultant driven or a contract driven agreement, then both from the coachee as well as the coach, there is a session feedback which is asked for after every session.
Yeah.
All right. So
Thank you so much.
Thank you once again for
Bye.
Thank you.
reflecting on the flow. I'll see you next month. Take care. Bye bye. Good evening.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.